Hello friends, this is Worm, and is Destiny 2 too grindy? I know, that sounds crazy, right? Because we've complained so much in the past about, the lack of rewards, and the thing that makes Destiny like unfun currently, or less fun than it used to be, is the lack of rewards. But a couple days ago we made a video talking about things that people hope for in the new year, and one of the things I didn't talk about in that video that kind of got brought up a lot on the social media post that I made was people saying that Destiny 2 is too grindy. It takes too long to get stuff. It's too much of the repetitive stuff over and over. We got to do the same thing over and over. I'm trying to think of some other ones. People saying that really just altogether the game was a grind, right? And of course, as a Destiny veteran, like, this ain't no grind. This is not a grind, but neither here nor there. We know grindy. As D1 vets, no grindy. But it begged the question, if people are saying this, what is it that's making Destiny 2 feel too grindy? And I wanted to ultimately get to the bottom of it and answer the question, to the best of my ability, whether or not Destiny 2 actually is too grindy, right? So let's get into it. First of all, players, one of the main things that people said was that it's repetitive, right? Like when people said it was too grindy, they said, it's just that it's repetitive. And so, I started thinking about it, and I'm like, yeah, it is repetitive, but at the same time, what game isn't repetitive, right? Take any game you want to use, and there's an element of repetition to it. Minecraft, start a new world, build a house, craft this, get diamonds, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? Make a farm. It's the same thing. And yeah, like you can get it in different worlds, but it's ultimately the same thing. You're starting a world, you're farming, you're killing animals, you're fighting zombies, stuff like that. Call of Duty, same thing. Like it's the same, several maps, you've got the same guns, you got the same TTKs across the board, basically. It's the same thing. And so people that are saying, oh, well, it's too much of the same, like I think that these are people who they tried Destiny in the hopes it was going to be something else. It was going to be the new thing. Oh my god, break up the whole blah blah blah, the rigmarole of gaming. But it's not. Like, it's still a game. Games are going to get repetitive. Even I take breaks from Destiny. I take breaks from Destiny because it gets repetitive. I take breaks from Call of Duty because it gets repetitive. I take breaks from, I'm sorry, I'm looking over here at my desktop and all the different games, but I take breaks from all these games and I go play other games because the repetition is what gets boring to me. So what I wanted to do is look at the repetition of Destiny 2 and see how much repetition there actually is in the game, right? Because at the end of the day, yeah, like if you only play Crucible, for example, it's going to get repetitive. If you only do Nightfalls, it's going to get very, very repetitive, right? But I think one of the things that makes Destiny 2 not repetitive is the amount of actual activities that you have to do, right? And granted, this is all this is all subjective here. I could say that, oh, like, I could spend hours and hours in Destiny and still have fun. You might not be the same way. You could, you might not like the same activities and stuff that I like in Destiny 2. That's fine. But the reality is Destiny has 3 core playlists: Gambit, Crucible, and the Strike playlist, which I think the Strike playlist and Patrols are like the 2 most populated areas of Destiny 2, right? But 3 core playlists, you've got Patrol modes, right? And let's be honest, the number of people that are out there playing in Patrol modes is incredibly high. I know Bungie released the numbers not too terribly long ago, the percentage of players that played in each one, or each part of the different part of the game, right? And Patrol was like an insanely high percentage, like 30 or 40% of gameplays in Patrol. And the reason why is because new players who get in the game and play for literally 10, 15, 20 hours, they are primarily in Patrol, right? So it's logged as, okay, that's their favorite playlist, right? So the Patrol is the favorite playlist of Destiny 2. Now, of course, is Patrol fun? That's gonna be up to you, right? But you got 3 core playlists, you've got Patrol, and let's actually break down those core playlists. In the core playlist, you have the Strike playlist, pretty normal. It also has rotating daily modifiers, so you got, maybe Grenadier one day, then Heavyweight one day. It has rotating modifiers. The Crucible playlist, we've got, let's see here, the weekly featured mode, we've got Clash, I'm sorry, not Clash, Control, we've got competitive. When the weekend rolls around, we get Trials of Osiris. Like, we have multiple different game modes in Crucible, right? So like, yeah, like, again, if you're not a big fan of PvP, they all probably feel the same. But if you are a big fan of PvP games like Call of Duty, you know, like Destiny 2, to a degree, like, breaking it up by playing these different game modes is gonna feel good. It's gonna feel refreshing, right? Like, if I'm playing Control and I switch over to competitive, that feels refreshing. That doesn't feel like, oh, I'm playing the same game over and over. If I switch to Rumble, it does not feel like the same game over and over and over, right? Weekend rolls around, you know, go into Trials. That's a different environment than these other Crucible game modes, right? Of course, Gambit just has Gambit, you know, needs some work at some point. Maybe bring back Gambit Prime, Bungie. But like, that's out of the 3 core playlists that we have. We have all these different variations, right? In the Vanguard playlist, we have Vanguard strikes with different rotating modifiers, and then we have the Nightfall, and we have different tiers of Nightfall difficulty. You know, you have your match-made Nightfall, and then Grandmaster. I know there's several different in between, but I think that most people are either doing the match-made Nightfall or doing Grandmasters, if we're being honest with ourselves. But, you know, that's just the 3 core playlists. Then you have things like, you know, various missions and storylines that players can do. You have raids that you can do. You have dungeons that you can do. You have, what else? Seasonal activities. Like, you have a bunch of different activities that you can kind of jump between, right? And that helps break up the monotony of Destiny 2. So, you know, in regard of repetition, like I said, it is subjective, but I think that Destiny is really good about breaking up repetition. They offer a variety of different play styles that you can do. You know, you've got 3 different characters that you can make. You've got, you know, Crucible you can play. You've got Gambit. You've got, you know, a raid that you can do. You have all these different aspects, and if you play for 30 minutes in one and then jump to another and play for 30 minutes and then jump to another, like, you're going to have a fulfilling gaming session because you're breaking up that repetitive monotony, right? So that's the first. You know, is Destiny 2 grindy in terms of repetition? I would say no, because unlike games, maybe Call of Duty, for example, I mean, there are different game modes in Call of Duty, but they all take place on the same maps, and it's all like kind of boiling down to the same principle, right? You know, I think the most variation you're gonna get in Call of Duty is campaign. I have not played Modern Warfare 3. I don't know about the Modern Warfare 3 zombies, but you've got multiplayer, campaign, you got zombies, and yes, you can break down, you know, multiplayer, for example, into different game modes. You can, I don't know about zombies. Maybe you can break down zombies into a different thing like that. You know, you can break down the campaign into different difficulties and stuff. But at the end of the day, I think that Destiny offers more in terms of variety, what you can do, as opposed to a game like Call of Duty or like, you know, Minecraft, where you have, you know, yeah, you can start a different world, but it's the same thing. You know, so that's kind of my take on people that were saying it's repetitive. But moving on from there, you know, the next thing that people were, next reason I should say that people said Destiny 2 was grindy is because of the loot. So they say, you know, oh, like getting crafted weapons takes too long. Getting the god roll is too difficult. You know, I feel like, you know, there's a lot of FOMO, and I'm going to associate FOMO in with the grind, or with this section of the grind anyways. You know, people saying, oh, you know, there's FOMO. If I don't get on and do the dawning, I'm gonna miss out on this, that, and the other. And I mean, to be fair, those are fair points, right? Those are fair points. But I think this is, in my opinion, when people say Destiny 2 grindy, this is what they're referring to, right? Like, I want a good raid weapon. You know, well, I have to assemble a raid team. I have to get in the raid. I have to spend however many hours to get it done. You know, and then if I don't get it, well, I gotta try again. Or, you know, wait till next week or get a different character. You know, and I think that there is a little bit of validity in what people say when it comes to the grind being too much in regards to, like, you know, something like that. Like, yeah, for raid weapons, for pinnacle in-game weapons, it's gonna take a while. Like remember, I think that players have been so numbed by other games, you know, just handing you stuff, and even Destiny now is to a point where it's just handing you stuff, that they forget that, you know, pinnacle activities, in-game activities, they're supposed to reward some of the highest level gear, right? Like, you're not supposed to be able to just, you know, walk into Vault of Glass and get your God roll Fatebringer first try. Maybe you get lucky and you do, right? I'm not gonna excuse the element of luck in there, and we're gonna talk about luck in just a second. But the reality is that players, like, you know, it's going to take a while to do those things. It's going to take a while to learn how to do a raid efficiently enough to beat it in however much time. It's going to take a while to learn how to complete a dungeon run in an efficient amount of time so that you can farm the loot. Like, these end game activities, they are not meant to be easy and something that you're just handed rewards for. And I think that, you know, Bungie, I think that they did implement the crafting system for raids because of the fact that, you know, people felt like it was too grindy. I mean, think about Destiny 1, right? Way back in Destiny 1, I mean, even the early days of Destiny 2, before weapon crafting was a thing, like, you had to go in there and do a raid 3 times a week for the most recent, well, 3 times a week. You had 3 characters, so 3 chances. And if you didn't get, say, you know, the Fatebringer you wanted from, was it Templar, I believe, back in Destiny 1, then you're just out of luck, right? And the drop rates were also, I think they were a lot lower back in those days. But, you know, you were out of luck. Like, the grind was insane in Destiny 1, right? So, you know, players that are saying, oh, well, Destiny 2 is too grindy. Like I said, as a D1 vet, like, I look and kind of roll my eyes, but at the same time, you know, let's take a look at D2 raids. You know, in order to get, you know, the role you're looking for on, let's say Rufus's Fury, right? Rufus's Fury, you have to go in, you have to do the raid minimum of 5 times, right? So let's say you do it once per week, 1 character. Then you take your spoils of conquest to the final chest, or I'm sorry, the vendor, the raid vendor. You buy your red box, Rufus's Fury. In 5 weeks, you get it. Is that difficult? I would say absolutely not. Right? Like, that is not really grindy, right? Because, I mean, Nezarec, I think on a bad run would take like maybe like 10 minutes to beat. Right? If you have to do 3 damage phases, that is, I would say, roughly 10, maybe 12 minutes to beat. 10 to 12 minutes in a week is not that much for a guaranteed red box so that you can guarantee to craft your weapon. See, I don't think that it's grind, like I think that players are, they're using grindy in the wrong way, right? When they're saying grindy, they're saying it takes too long to do something. No, that's time consuming. Grindy is repetitive and time consuming. Grindy is Destiny 1, right? Destiny 1 looking for, you know, an exotic, right? You had to pop some, was it glass needles? I think that's what they were called. The power up, I can't remember the name of it, sorry. But the thing that granted bosses the ability to drop an exotic, right? You pop one of those, you go kill a boss. Didn't drop an exotic, you pop another one, kill a boss, pop another one, kill a boss. And there was this element of RNG that was like ridiculously long. And then, you know, if you were relatively new, you didn't have a bunch of exotics, you had to go through, you know, however many I'm sorry, actually, back in Destiny 1, there was no protection. So you could get, you know, maybe you got Suros Regime. Well, you already have Suros Regime. Okay, so you kill another boss, you get Icebreaker. Cool, you got Icebreaker. You kill another boss, you get another Suros Regime. Kill him again, you get another Suros Regime. Like, that's the grindiness that I'm thinking of. Like, time consumption versus grindiness, or maybe even not even time consumption. I think time consumption is the wrong term. Like, time gated, maybe, I think is a more appropriate term here, right? Because yes, like, players that don't get much playtime, you know, they kill Nezarec once a week, they have to wait 5 weeks. That is not, well, it's technically not time gated. That's a long time, right? Technically, you know, there's weeks where you can farm Nezarec, and, you know, you can get Rufus's Fury from, I think, 3 different areas in the raid, maybe just 2. But, you know, you can get Rufus's Fury from a couple different places. But, like, yes, it's kind of time gated. But again, why is it time gated? It's an end game activity. Think of something like let me think of, I'm sorry, I cannot think of a weapon on the top of my head. Retrofuturist, that's the seasonal drop weapon for the Crucible, right? It's a shotgun. Retrofuturists drops after almost every single game in the Crucible, right? Not only that, but as you level your Crucible rank up and you reset your Crucible rank, you can get more and more rolls on these weapons, on Retrofuturists, right? So I'm at a point now where I can potentially get 3 different perks in the 3rd and 4th column. if I'm looking for that god roll. So like players are saying, oh, it's too grindy. Like I would throw that out there. How can you say it's grindy when it hands you loot like that? Like if you go to strike playlists, like you're guaranteed to get a very good weapon, probably within 5 strikes. Because you get a legendary piece of gear basically after every single strike. And if you put on the ghost mod to give more legendary gears, you could potentially get 2 or 3, right? Like you're guaranteed to get at least one weapon that has a serviceable roll on it, right? And so like, you know, again, I think that people saying it's too grindy because of the amount of time it takes to get some of this stuff, that's not the right term. Grindy is not the right word. It's maybe it's too time gated, if that's what you want to call it. And again, you know, when we're talking about time gates here, we're looking at in-game weapons. Like if you want to get like a seasonal weapon, for example, scalar potential, we'll use that as an example. If you want to get scalar potential, oh my god, like I mean, I could literally probably go to Riven right now, and you know, I have it crafted, but without anything else, right? I could go to Riven right now and I could turn in what is it, like 24 or 25 scalar potentials, right? Because the amount of wish engrams that you get is ridiculous. Like you get them for doing basically everything. Like I'm swimming in wish engrams. Literally after one play session, I have to go to Riven and I have to decrypt these weapons because otherwise they're gonna sit at 99 and I'm gonna lose free shards and glimmer and you know, red box chances and stuff like that. Actually, I think I have all of them crafted. Anyway, look, doesn't matter. But Destiny is at a point where we're swimming in loot, and that's what so many other content creators and somewhat myself have been saying, is that it's not, the loot doesn't feel rewarding because you're handed so much of it. Like the players that's, you know, are saying Destiny is too grindy because you can't get X weapons quickly. Like they're looking at the base level of Destiny. They're seeing, hey, I've got 15 scalar potentials. Why don't I have a god roll Rufus's Fury yet? Because those two weapons, you can't compare them to one another. Never mind their archetype stuff. Like one is an in-game weapon that has perks and stats that are so far above the other one, it just doesn't. Or actually, you know what, better yet, let's use Oversoul Edict and scalar potential, because they are both arc, they're both pulse rifles, and they're both rapid fire frames, right? Scalar potential is like here, right? Oversoul Edict is up here. Okay, like there's no comparison in how good they are because one is an end game weapon. So all in all, when it comes to Destiny 2 being too grindy in terms of, you know, obtaining weapons, I don't think it's too grindy at all. And yes, this is coming from a biased player who's played for a long time. Like, no, I didn't think it was difficult to get my crafted Crota's Ends weapons because I have a bunch of time that I can invest each week and do them. I can get the red box, I can get the, or I can do the secret chest at the end. I can buy a red box, I can knock out 2 a week, and I know that not everybody has that potential, right? But at the same time, I complain that, hey, it takes way too shorter. Sorry. It is way too fast to get pinnacle in-game weapons, you know, and some people that like farm trials, for example, on the weekends, they might say like, yeah, like adept weapons aren't that special because I can go in and get an adept weapon, you know, in 30 minutes and then continuously farm on that same card for however long and just drop. But again, everybody's experience is different in Destiny 2. You know, because those top tier PvP players that do that every single weekend, yeah, it's easy to get those adept weapons. But for somebody who is, you know, a casual player that plays 3 hours, you know, on the weekend and maybe a collective of 2 hours during the weekdays, like they're not going to have the same experience. They're going to have difficulty, you know, in doing that. And they're going to think, yeah, it's too hard, it's too grindy, you know, and so I do not think that Destiny 2 is too grindy in terms of its loot and its you know, its stinginess with loot. But the last thing I want to talk about is luck, because this is a big factor in Destiny 2. And the reality is there are a lot of players that just don't have good luck, and they don't like when luck is a factor in games, period, right? I mean, think about Destiny 1. If you played Destiny 1, right? You played Destiny 1, think about how much luck was involved with anything you did, right? Like we didn't have the exotic protection. Like you could get Serv's Regime to drop 2 or 3 exotics in a row. There was even a point where, in Destiny 1 where you could decrypt an exotic engram and it would turn into a legendary item. You could decrypt a legendary item and it would turn into a blue. Actually, I think there was it was very rare, but you could also decrypt an exotic engram into a blue piece of gear. That is ridiculous. Like, that is bad luck. Destiny 2 has an element of luck in it, but it's not nearly as bad as it was. So when players say, oh, it's too grindy because of the luck factor, like, number one, like, I think they just have bad luck. You know, when it comes to, for example, when it comes to getting, you know, the newest raid/dungeon exotic, I'm very lucky. I typically get those within, you know, the first or second week of the season, right? So in fact, I think for every single exotic to come to the game, with the exception of Buried Bloodline and, I know there was another one. I can't remember which other one. Anyways, with the exception of Buried Bloodline and one other raid/dungeon exotic, I've gotten every single dungeon exotic in my first 5 clears, which means at most it takes me, you know, a week and a day to get it, right? I'm very lucky in that aspect. However, when it comes to getting god rolls on legendaries, I'm very glad Bungie added the crafting system because my luck is trash, right? I'm still like Retro Futurist, for example. That's not even a good shotgun. Like the stats are pitifully low. I'm still waiting on a god roll from that. Every time a god roll drops, like I legitimately just scream in my head like, yes, because I have bad luck. Meanwhile, my wife, who sits right over here to my right, she'll sit down, she'll open up Destiny once in a blue moon. We'll go do maybe a coil run or something, and she will get the godliest god roll on whatever weapon it is. And I'm just like, how? I've watched her decrypt 5 bright engrams at a time before. And I've watched her get 2 exotic ornaments in those 5 bright engrams. Like, she has insanely good luck, right? So luck does play a factor. But players, you know, that are saying, oh, well, you know, is Destiny's too grindy because of the luck factor? I think that this is all just a personal preference. If you don't like luck, if you don't like the chance of getting a trash roll on a weapon, don't play Destiny. You know, go play a game where, you know, it's been a while, but Division, for example. The Division, in fact, they might even be on Division 2 or 3 now. But years ago, I played the Division. The exotics in that game, the yellow, I don't even remember the name of the tier. Like, they all had the same stats, same perk, stuff like that, right? Like, if you want that, go play a different game. Right? Like, yes, exotics all have the same roles, which that's fine. I'm okay with that. But legendaries, you're gonna have different roles. And if you don't like that, it takes time to invest in the game, you know, and not much time, mind you. Like, again, like, it would be different if, you know, it took years, or not years, but if it took, you know, 10, 15 games of Crucible to get one Retro Futurist, I get it. I understand. Like, yeah, that would be frustrating, right? But that's not the case. Like, if luck is not your thing, Destiny 2 is just not the game for you, right? It's like somebody, you know, going and playing Borderlands and saying, oh, I hate luck and I hate RNG. That doesn't even make sense. Why are you playing this game, right? Same principle here. Like, if you don't like luck, you don't like RNG, Destiny is not your game. You know, but again, don't say it's because Destiny's grindy. Say it's because, you know what, I don't like luck, I don't like RNG factors, right? Because yes, like, I curse the RNG gods sometimes. You know, Buried Bloodline was actually an example of that. It took me, let's see here, when did it come out? It came out end of November. No, not end of November. Yeah, end of November, early December, something like that. I just got it last week, right? Been doing it 3 times on each character each week to get it. Finally got it. Like, oh, it took forever. I'm still waiting on a god roll for the Spiteful Fang. Or no, it's not Spiteful Fang, sorry, Vengeful Fang. And I still, like, I don't get it. Also, hell, I'm still waiting on the mark, the Titan mark, from the Warlord's Ruin dungeon. And every time I clear it and I see that I get arms, leg, helmet, you know, rocket launch, not rocket, sidearm, sword, something like that, and it's not the mark, I roll my eyes in the back of my head. I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm not even after an exotic. I'm not after something that should be hard to get. I want the mark. I don't know how many clears, how many different encounters I've done of Warlord's Ruin, because I think it only drops from the 2nd and the 3rd encounter. The mark does, right? And I have yet to get it. I have yet to get it, and that's ridiculous. Like, it's crazy. But at the same time, I understand that's Destiny for you, right? And it does keep me engaged. It's what keeps me playing Warlord's Ruin, because once I get the mark, I will probably, you know, and the God Roll and the Vengeful Fang, I'll probably be done with Warlord's Ruin. You know, once I get, well, here's the thing. Here's a better example. Deepstone Crypt. I'm basically done with Deepstone Crypt. I don't care for the armor. I've got all the weapons craftable that I want craftable. The only two I don't have craftable is Heritage and Succession. And the reality is I don't use slug shotties ever. I know that it's, you know, you can sit here, you can go in the comments and tell me how great it is, and oh my god, like Heritage is the best in slug shotty in the game. I don't use them, period. Never have. I don't use Chaperone, I don't use Duality, I don't use slug shotty, so I don't care to get it. Succession, same thing. Like I have other, like, yeah, Succession is like the best sniper, legendary kinetic sniper in the game, but I have other snipers that can compete. They're not as good, but they can definitely compete, and they're serviceable. Why? Because I also don't use snipers very much in my gameplay. Like typically when I'm using a special weapon, and it's a sniper, it's gonna be probably an energy sniper, you know, something like maybe Cloud Strike, you know, or something that has 4 times a charm, Focus Fury, stuff like that, you know. But I don't care to do Deepstone Crypt anymore because I have everything that I want from it, right? And that's I guess we're kind of getting off topic here, but you know, back to the whole thing with luck, like, you know, not getting what you want is one of the ways that keeps you engaged in Destiny. So if you don't get what you want and you don't like it, instead of saying Destiny's too grindy, say, hey, you know what, there's too much RNG maybe, or hey, there's too much luck involved, and I'm not a big fan of luck. That makes more sense than just saying it's too grindy. But that being said, I think I've gone on a little bit longer than I meant to. Again, super glad to be back. I posted a video somewhere. You can watch somewhere on screen around here, basically explaining where I've been for the past couple days. I've been sick. Go check it out. I tell a funny story about how I got sick and stuff like that. But yeah, anyways, I want to hear your thoughts on Destiny 2 being too grindy. Like, do you think it is too grindy? What elements do you think are too grindy? What elements do you think need work in terms of the grind? Because of course, if you're like me, we love a grind, right? Tell me your thoughts, stuff in the comments. Of course, if you like today's video, drop a like, helps the channel a lot. Subscribe for more daily Destiny content, and do me a favor, watch the videos you see on the end screen, because for whatever reason, YouTube thinks you'll like them. Guys, I'll see y'all next time. Bye for now.